Hello again, everybody. This time in this little mini clip or episode, whatever you want to call it, I'm going to talk about little scrap wood project ideas. I just put everything here on the table. We'll go through everything one by one. I'll explain the wood that I used and basically just to give you some inspiration, some ideas. Maybe you'll like some stuff, maybe you won't, but either way, this is just some spitballing for you. We'll start, I don't know where to start. We'll just start from here. Okay, so this here is just a little piece of, everyday maple, and you put a pattern on it, and you come to the scroll saw, and you follow the pattern, cut it all out. In the middle here, you can leave it for a space with a name if you want to scroll a name into it, or you can leave it plain. If you want to leave it plain, it'll kind of end up looking, well, something like that. Get these out of the way. Get this in the shot only here. That might be a little bit better. And it would look, something to that effect. And it would look nice hanging up on a wall or hanging up on, in your room or wherever you want to put it. You can even, make it a shelf for it as well, and put a candle. Just, keep the candle a safe distance away from the wood, because, wood is a combustible. It'll be, a nice gift. It makes a great gift. You can do it for a loved one, or you can do it for yourself in memory of somebody, or just as a ornamental cross for your own home, whatever you want to do. Next idea is something like this here. I got this and this are actually the same thing. I got the inspiration from Fabian there in Germany, Fabian's tiny workshop. I kind of modified the design, actually make it look like this. It won't look like a number 6 so much. I get your test tube in there, and you can use different woods. This one here is Iroko. That wood that I showed you earlier, which is in the pile here. I'm trying to look for an unfinished piece of Iroko to show you what it looks like. This is another piece of Iroko here, but that's finished. Unfinished, it would be here in this wood pile. It's a very palish brown, and it has actual yellow lines in it. Looks like what has yellow in it. That's Iroko. When you cut it, it has this kind of a look to it here. But that's the grain. Yeah, close-up of it for you. That's what Iroko is. I got that from this chunk like this. These are all scrap wood. You can tell it's all scrap wood. I mean, look at this. And I made that candle holder out of that. It doesn't have to be a candle holder. You can just get your test tube in there, and you could take go grab a weed from somewhere. You take your weed. It's going to need to be cut. But you take your weed and you put it in there, and I don't have a free hand, so let's see what we can do this way. And you just kind of get it in there, and it's a decorative piece. There, it's not perfect, but anyways, let me put it up on more of a. I don't know if I can find a display area around here. That's hideous. Anyways, you get the idea of what I'm trying to do with this here. You put it like that, and there you go, right? You got a little decorative little vase, really. So, get that weed out of there. You can put a flower in there, you can put whatever you want in there, it doesn't matter, anything. So that's doesn't take too long to make something like that. It's quick, it's pretty easy. Let's see what else we got here. Let's get this one out of the way. This one was made from a scrap piece of SHAKEY. It's South American wood. I forgot exactly where in South America, but it's got the nice reds, yellows, and darker, what looks to be blacks. This candle holder, speaking of the SHAKEY wood, is also, well, it's the same wood. This one's a little bit figured. I don't know if you can see the striping pattern on it. Let's go under a brighter light and see if we can get it. You can see the darker stripes going through it, like tiger striping. So, if you get lucky and find a good piece in your scrap pile. And the middle is just poplar. That's just standard poplar wood, nothing special, just cheap poplar. And it's finished in, I believe it was Danish oil I finished it in. And when you put an oil on it, it gives that beautiful red texture as opposed to the unfinished paler color. This was just a little vase that I did. This was of Indonesian mahogany. I did this back in, let's see, 2010, yeah, so it's Indonesian mahogany. I usually sign and date stuff that I make, so it's kind of a proof that it doesn't really prove that I did it, but you know, that's what I do. And I was just messing around on the lathe. I just came up with, you know, some design that kind of looks like a fat candle holder or whatever, but you know, it's nice working wood. I did these nested candle holders here. They kind of fit into each other, kind of like this here, right? This one's of spalted maple, and the idea is they kind of go in on each other and kind of can get put away somewhere nicely. Again, I got this idea from Fabian's Tiny Workshop. You know, he's got some good stuff on his website if you get the chance to check it out. Also, speaking of inspirational, I got this from him as well. The only thing I did differently is the color of the epoxy. I did mine in a green, and I don't know if you can see the finish on that. You should be able to. And then on the back here, you got the spot for the candle. And then when you get it to the light, I don't know if you can see it properly, but the light comes through, and you get a green color that shines through. I did the same thing for my other son. He's more interested into the fishing and the outdoors and stuff, so I did one of blue, and if you get it up to the light and it shines, the blue shines through. I'll light them up in a minute and I'll show you. Some other ideas, if you got scrap wood, this is like a wine bottle holder. You just cut the proper angle off at the bottom. I was debating on if I wanted to stain it or not. I put the walnut colored Danish oil stain on, so I'm trying to debate if I like the color of the raw wood or if I like the walnut. I'm kind of not sold on either or. I don't have a preference. This is African blackwood. A piece of African blackwood actually came from, I'll try and not move the camera around and get everybody seasick, but that literally did come from this. And this is a cutoff for a clarinet bell. And it's a defect, so they were selling these as defects. Each one was like $4 or $5 or whatever. So I picked up a few of these, and I made one out of that. And then these blackwood things here, which I made a handle for another thing I'll show you. As you can see that would be the hammer, and that's the handle part there. And what I did with that is I made this, a mallet. And with this mallet, you know, you can, you know, aside from hitting people with it, and I cut a cross section out and I kind of wedged it to keep it in place. But all on the lathe. I put a little decorative, I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, there it is. A little decorative little banding on it, no big deal. A little bit of a, you know, contour to hold for the hand. And yeah, it's got a good weight to it. It's nice and heavy. Another thing for the scroll saw, like I was saying on this one's a little bit of a smaller one with the name scrolled into it. The inside, the R kind of broke apart in there, but this wood is actually black willow, and it scrolls pretty easily. It's a nice wood to work with, and you know, it's another idea that you can utilize. This I wanted to goof around on the lathe. I just made like a little decorative, kind of like a little magic wand or whatever for my daughter. Put a little decorative lines through it there and just kind of tapered it out just a little bit. And you know, it's a little small for my hand, but she's like 4 years old, so you know, it kind of works for her better. But that's just a little stick of babinga, which was in that scrap pile that I showed in an earlier video. When I was talking about the different woods that I've got for my shop. So I just took a piece of scrap out of there and I put it on my benchtop lathe over there, and in a few minutes, you know, after some sanding and stuff like that, that was it. That's what came out. Other ideas, where am I here? I did the nesting stuff, I did all that. This thing actually came from a drawing that I was doing. I just doodled some stuff. I usually just, you know, when I was first started woodworking, I just had a little book that I just started doodling stuff in. Just making some stuff up, you know, just, you know, got ideas. And some of it was like, you know, boxes, other things were just doodling, other things were from things that I've seen before. So I just was scrolling through one day figuring, what am I going to do? And lo and behold, I end up coming across that the pattern where I decided, you know what? I've got the wood, I can do it. There it is there. See, I write down the different options of the different woods that I might want to consider. And I figure approximate, you know, sizes in my head, what would look good or whatever. You know, this one was supposed to be bloodwood and maple. And here's the design for it. It goes into this, and then I kind of, you know, had my measurements in mind, but then when I actually put the wood together, I realized those measurements are just too huge, so I had to remodify everything. And then remodify it again. So these are the final dimensions of everything here. Yeah, so, because I did it in Purple Heart. So that's pretty much it, the overall dimensions, how, you know, so I turned this piece of paper, this little drawing, and I finally sat down and I laminated a bunch of wood one day. And I got some cutoffs that I left in here, actually. Yeah, they're in here. I don't know why they're in here. I guess I just to keep them safe. So these cutoffs I can use for other things. And then I decided to add a little interest, and I put a little angle cut. You can see how one is a straight cut and the other one's got a little bevelish kind of a, like a compound miter kind of a cut to it. And I figured that would add some visual, you know, aesthetics to it. So I figured, you know, that's great. So put it all in, but by the way, I ended up cutting the bottom. It's a little sloppy, as you can see. But the way I cut the bottom forced this to go the way I didn't want it to go. That show-off angle is kind of on the reverse. Now, if I wanted to, I can kind of just reverse it and have it kind of face down, but that kind of looks a little ridiculous. But this, you know, this was just a thought, an idea that I had for some scrap Purple Heart and Maple. But you could turn around and give this as an award to somebody, you know, congratulations to so-and-so in recognition of finally doing something, you know, like just, here, Merry Christmas, good job, you know, you finally did something, here's your award. So that, it took a little longer than I wanted it to, but it turned out pretty nice. You know, you got your Purple Heart and Maple layers in there. You know, one's a little thicker than the other two, and then the Maple, the one is much thicker than the other, just for that visual contrast. What else? This cross, I kind of called it a monk's cross because it, you know, it looks like something a monk would kind of wear around his neck. You know, the I don't know, the burlap robes or whatever that the monks wear. But this came from literally, I got pictures and everything, from a piece of one of these slabs that I showed you in my different woods video. This, like I said, this would make a great clock of a golf course. You know, put a little flag here, a clock here, you know, and a little sign or something, you know, retired, gone golfing, whatever. So I took one of these, cut out the cross shape, and then I put it in this vise here. I cranked it down, and then what I did is I took a grinder and a wheel, one of those steel wheel grinders as well, roughed it all up, you know, after I cut the shape out and everything. Then I roughed it all up. Then I used acetone to age it. As you can see, it looks kind of aged, all those wrinkles and stuff in there. The acetone dried it right out pretty good. And then after that was done, I sanded it just a little bit. I scratched it up a little bit and make it look a little bit older. I just took an old dental tool there and just kind of put some scratches in it. And then I flooded it with this, walnut oil. And I put about, I don't know, 3-4 coats on. The one side made it look like this. And the other side, for whatever reason, I don't know, I didn't plan this, this is just how it turned out, became older looking, like the darker look to it. So, you know, you can kind of, when you hang it up, you pick your side. You want the more brown, burnt kind of looking side, or do you want the more burl, woodsy looking side? So, that's the way that turned out. So that was kind of neat how that worked. But yeah, that just came from a little slab of, you know, maple burl. Another idea that you can get, These candle holders here. The inlay, all I did is you get these. I got these at Walmart. These little glass holders. For whatever reason, I'm having a heck of a time finding them now. Well, that figure. But all you do is you take a strip of wood, plane it, joint it, make it square, put some beveled edges on it, and then you route a little groove in there and you stick your inlay. And then from there you route the circles so that this way the glass will sit on there without going all the way through. And the other option is you can have on the ends here, you can have a piece of wood that comes down from here as a stand. So it would stand off the ground. You know, you miter another little piece of wood, you know, whatever height. It doesn't have to be too high. 2-3 inches would be more than sufficient. You don't want it to be too high, unless, you know, you can do it whatever size you want, you know. And then you get your little tea light candles, you put them in there, and then you have a, somewhere here, there, you know, on a dining room table or a little side table or whatever, it looks nice. Another idea, this was just a piece of Kentucky coffee tree. This was made in, oh geez, what? I did this in about maybe a half an hour. You know, I just kind of on the bottom when I'm done, I just kind of, you know, sign it, date it. And this was supposed to be a Christmas present, but I changed my mind and gave something a little bit better. This just seemed a little bit too, I don't know, not extravagant enough. So I gave one of these, but it was 5 of them, 5 or 6 long, and it was quartered sycamore with Purple Heart inlays. So that was pretty cool. That went over much better than I think that would have. We've gone over the handle. We've gone, there's another one of those things that I got from the inspiration from Fabian there. One of these little vases. You can put your, where's my weed? Where'd my weed go? There it is. So again, you just take your weed or your flower or whatever you want to do, just stick it in there, and then, you know, there you go. You've got a weed holder. Otherwise, what else? I haven't talked about this yet. This is a bandsaw box that I've done. If you've seen some of my other videos, you've seen me talk a little bit about it, or you've seen it in some of the other videos. Just a design I came up with. I just came up with this in a flash, just looking at the wood. I wanted something inspired, actually. This was inspired by this. That shape. I didn't want to do too high of a shape. I didn't want it too Asian styled, but I wanted something, and I'm really happy with the way this turned out. I've got people who want to buy this box, and it's my first bandsaw box, and you know, I could tell you all the flaws with it 6 ways from Sunday. You know, you're looking at a few of them right now. You know, you look at this long enough and you'll see them. But I like it. You know, I really do. The wood came out nice. This is figured SIPO. So if I turn it like this, you can see the oil brings out the rays or the depth of the wood. You know, it's just a really nice wood, and that's the top of it there. The back, there's the back there, right? It's got, look at that. That is just beautiful wood. My God, like how can you not like this? And then it just opens up, nothing fancy, no hinges, no nothing, just slides right out, just your standard everyday bandsaw box. You can see the flaw that I see glaring right at me. If you don't, there's no flaw, don't worry. All right, oh, I haven't talked about the biggest boy in the group here. This clock. This clock is actually something that took me a few days to do because of all the oil I was using in it. I pretty much oiled this until the imbuya wood couldn't take any more oil. I'll put this somewhere where I can kind of show it off a little bit better. Let's see, somewhere where the light can hit it a little bit better. This was just a piece of wood from that piece right over there that says imbuya. This came from that piece of wood right there. And it's an amazing, amazing wood. I love the smell. It's a little spicy. It reminded me of the humidors in Cuba. For some reason, I think of Cuban cigars when I'm working on this wood. You know, I cut the hole out and then I sanded it to make it the size I wanted for the clock insert. And then this, if you remember my other video, I talked about the red gum wood, and the finish that I chose for it was from this little stick here that we talked about in one of the other videos. And here I chose the walnut oil with no spray on it. I can't spray it anyways yet, because when you put like a walnut oil or a tung oil or that kind of thing, you want it to cure for a few months. You want, if there's any bleed out that's going to happen or whatever, you want it to like really cure and set up before you put a shiny coat of anything on it, so this way it'll stay nice and clear. It won't get all foggy or hazy looking. But anyways, the story stick here, I had a choice between light walnut colored Danish oil, 100% pure walnut oil that I showed you earlier. This is just straight Danish oil, boiled linseed oil, or BLO, and this is just lemon oil. Lemon oil has absolutely no waxes or anything in it. It's just a lemon oil. It's almost like a furniture cleaner like you buy in the store, the like Hawes lemon oil. That's all that is. And then on the side here, what I did is I put it into grids. I talked about this at length in another video, so I won't go over it too much, but the different shellacs and glosses and all that stuff. So when I was happy with the one that I wanted, I picked the one that I wanted. I went ahead and did it, and the results are actually pretty nice. Like that's a really nice looking red gum, the base there, and then the imbuya wood. The back is just nothing phenomenal, just, you know, two pieces all, you know, measured distance wise and all that. Just flooded it with oil for a few days. Once it was all done and dry, take my clock, pop it in, and that's it. You know, it's a real nice piece. It'll last hopefully longer than me. So that was a lot of, it was fun to do. It was pretty cool to do this project. And the red gum itself actually is scrap wood that came from baseboards. Now I know red gum for baseboards is a little strange, but here it is. This is it. This is baseboard material. I kept the angles. I just kind of cleaned them up a little bit. Took the baseboards, cut them to the length I wanted. This here was the base, and then for the wing parts there, I just cut off this groove part here. So all I kept was this. So I found the nicer figured wood boards that I wanted to keep for the, I don't know, we'll call them the wings, and cut them to length, glued them on, put it all together, and just oiled the heck out of it. And then once it was finished, there's your end result. So yeah, but as far as these other projects here, especially the ones with the candles, I'm going to light this one here. Actually, I'll light both of them. Okay, that one is lit, and I'm going to light this one. And then I'm going to show you how this actually looks. Where am I going to put this? Okay, we're going to actually turn off the lights, and you're going to see the light that comes through of how cool this actually all is. Let me just, let's get this off of here. Make that flame a little bigger without burning the shop down. And then there's another thing I got to show you really quick before I shut the lights off. But this over here, these candle holders I made out of scrap wood. Now, if you guys have seen it, and some woodworkers will know, when you look at this little knuckle joint right there, it's not even a knuckle joint, it's just the way the wood is. You already know what this is. If you look at it carefully, this is bamboo flooring. This is just bamboo wood flooring. Just take it, cut it into a pattern, throw some holes into it, and then you've got yourself a candle. This was not any kind of wood flooring. And then you Stick your candles in there and away you go, right? This one's a 3 candle holder. This one here that I did is just a single candle holder. You know, I love that red color. And, you know, the wood for this is just cheap scrap wood you got anywhere. This is aromatic cedar and poplar. You know, this is when did I do this one here? The end of October. Aromatic cedar and poplar. I just kind of try to write the woods down as I go. This one here as well was done, yeah, on the 25th. This one was done a little bit earlier. Red oak and Iroko. And the red oak, that came from, you're not going to believe this, but that red oak came from this. You know what that is? That's just wood flooring. That's just leftover wood flooring. Here's your tongue and groove. There it is. Nothing special. Wood flooring. You plane it down. You get rid of this shiny stuff. The planer's got a bit of a hard time dealing with this. You might want to scuff it up really good, run it over a joiner or something, because the planer just kind of, the rollers just slide on this stuff. This stuff is really, really slippery. But yeah, you get rid of these ridges and everything. And this, literally, take this away. There you go. That's what it is. Just wood flooring. There's lots of ideas for scrap wood that you can do. You know, it's really phenomenal. This was just black wood. I just put this on the lathe. I just made a little shape out of the same bell over there that I did with that little clarinet bell that you see over there. That's what this is. That clarinet bell is what made this. I gotta drill this a little bit better so I can get a little deeper. But this also, you take a candle. Once I get a proper sized candle in there, they got to get a different size, and then make it like a candle holder if you wanted to, or put a little shot glass in, or some flowers and weeds, or whatever you want to do. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, this is just a few ideas. Like, I'm not going to rip everything out of the house to show you everything I've done. That's ridiculous. But I mean, this is, you know, I mean, all that scrap wood you can just do little projects like this with, and they're great gifts. They're great for gift giving and stuff like that. All right, I'm gonna go shut the lights off. We're gonna have a look at those candles, and hopefully I'm not gonna trip over anything and break my neck. All right, get the light on here. Okay, make sure I don't trip over that. All right, let me turn the light off. There. And when you light it, there you go. See? Just makes for a little night light type of a thing. This one's green. There's the green epoxy showing. Oops, I'm gonna burn my finger. There's the green epoxy showing through, right? And there's the blue for the fish, barracuda or whatever you want to call it. And that's it. You know, it makes a great gift. And it doesn't take too much time. You just, you know, with this one on the scroll saw, you got to be careful. Every one of those little rib cuts there has to be done properly. And then, you know, just make sure you got sharp blades and stuff like that. Take your time, and you know, the great stuff can be made. So I hope I inspired you guys to use your scraps for something other than kindling or firewood or garbage. And yeah, get in your shop, make some stuff. Hope you enjoyed it. Take care.